A lively group of enthusiastic supporters bursts onto the scene, brandishing colorful plaque cards high in the air. One card boldly proclaims hope of the Republic of Korea, Lee Suho, while another proudly declares him the proud mayor of Hyeomyong. A third card crowns him as the guardian of new politics. Nearby, a well-dressed audience sits in ornate chairs, all outfitted in matching black and white corporate attire that screams sophistication but may have them looking like they just walked off a runway. Despite the cool weather at the end of February, the atmosphere is charged with excitement, and the chill in the air doesn't seem to hinder anyone's spirits. On stage, a sharply dressed man stands confidently before a crowd, with a massive screen behind him announcing the inauguration ceremony of the Hyeomyong Educational Autonomous District. The camera zooms in as someone from the crowd exclaims "Wow," because clearly, everyone is just as impressed as he is. The Republic of Korea is abuzz with news about the establishment of this new administrative district, and it feels like New Year's Eve, just without the fireworks, but definitely with a lot more suits. With a smirk that seems to suggest he knows he's the star of the show, the man speaks into the microphone, emphasizing how honored he feels to celebrate this milestone alongside the citizens of Hyeomyong City. He reminisces about the time when this area was nothing but barren land, tickling the crowd's imagination. He passionately shares that on this very land, universities will soon emerge like coffee shops in Seoul, everywhere you look. He dramatically announces that on March 2nd, a whopping 50,000 students will flock to this place to contribute to the remarkable advancement of science and technology in the Republic of Korea. It's a bold declaration, and with each confident statement from the mayor, applause erupts from the crowd, laughter mingling with clapping as they cheer him on. It's impossible not to notice how the mayor's charisma and charm draw public attention that rivals even that of the president. As if on cue, the narrator reveals herself. She is none other than Lee Suho's wife, a captivating woman with ashy brown hair and bright brown eyes. As she watches her husband on stage, she can't help but feel a rush of pride and happiness. With a slight blush spreading across her cheeks, she claps enthusiastically along with the crowd, feeling like she's in the presence of a celebrity, because, in her eyes, he absolutely is. Intrigued faces surround her, reflecting admiration and a touch of awe. She wonders briefly if she should sign a few autographs herself, just for fun. After all, who wouldn't want the autograph of the wife of the future leader of the nation? It seems this new chapter in Hyeomyong is not only about education and progress, but also about the enthusiasm of a community eager to support a visionary leader and, perhaps, the upcoming First Lady who can keep her husband grounded in the whirlwind of politics. As her husband speaks with passion and confidence, she knows they are ready to embark on this journey together, hand in hand, with laughter, love, and dreams that know no bounds. The distant sounds of clapping and cheering echo in her ears as she contemplates the challenges and triumphs that lie ahead. Every speech he gives is not just a moment in time, it is a building block for a future that she hopes will be bright and prosperous for the citizens of Hyeomyong. She feels an overwhelming sense of gratitude for all the sacrifices made to reach this moment and an eagerness to contribute to the society they are about to shape together. Imagining the university students who will soon call this place home, she envisions a vibrant community filled with innovation and potential. The spirit of Hyeomyong is alive at this event, and she can almost taste the promise of a better tomorrow, where education fuels dreams, and those dreams turn into reality. Each smile in the crowd reflects a shared hope for the future, and as Lee Suho continues to speak, articulating a vision that inspires confidence and determination, she knows that this is just the beginning of a remarkable journey not only for him, but for everyone present. In that moment, she feels a profound connection to her husband and to the people gathered, reminding her that they are all in this together, striving for a shared destiny that will solidify Hyeomyong as a beacon of progress in the Republic of Korea. As the ceremony unfolds, she savors this collective energy, firmly believing that together they will weave a tapestry of success, unity, and resilience that will echo for generations to come. Following the success of Sojung City, known as the administrative capital, the government establishes Hyeomyong City as the educational capital. Within this city, a research center equipped with state-of-the-art facilities will be created. National universities in science and engineering have relocated around this area. This one city is basically a citadel of knowledge. Lee Suho is a key figure in the establishment of Hyeomyong City as he continues to speak about how the quality of education in the Republic of Korea has skyrocketed, along with human rights and the rights of students. Young adults whisper among themselves in the seats, and the narrator wonders why something feels off. Lee announces that the launch of the Educational Innovation City will be the first step toward a better Republic of Korea, yet everyone suddenly looks at their phones. Is something happening? Our girl breaks a sweat and turns red as she checks her phone. Her husband's name is trending, and a headline reads, "Is Lee Suho's marriage a show?" Another bar says, attempting image-making through marriage, Lee Suho is a show window couple. A journalist named Jong Tae-ji from Dongshin Daily raises his ID card, revealing that there are reports claiming the mayor is pretending to be a fake couple with a secretary from a middle-class family to enhance his commoner image. Is that true? Another man in a suit with brown hair shouts for everyone to step back, declaring this nonsense outrageous. The event announcing the launch of the Educational Autonomous City, a key project of the new government, turns chaotic as our girl tugs on her husband's sleeve. He breaks a sweat, his expression tense. Amidst the anger, shouts, and fights, reporters yell at Lee, one asking if he isn't speaking properly. Confused murmurs fill the air as Lee remains speechless, and then the crowd erupts into chaos. Our girl has a flashback, remembering how she first met her husband 6 years ago at Dangun University Graduate School. A young Lee is reading a paper, and the moment she sees him, she thinks, Sojung, is it? A white box pops up indicating Lee Suho, the youngest professor in the Department of Urban Planning. She had met him in her undergraduate final semester, bowing to him and saying how she looked forward to working with him. Although their time together was short, she respects him from a student's perspective. Her husband had bigger ambitions than most. He was not satisfied with being a university professor. He decided to run for mayor of Hyeomyang City as the ruling party candidate. She joins his campaign as his secretary, and to polish his aristocratic image, they became a show window couple. She is the woman who has been with him the longest. Soon we see them in his office, both in blue suits. He calls her Sojung and asks if she knows why he chose her. It's because she is tight-lipped and has excellent situational awareness. He presses if she has informed anyone about their contract, perhaps relatives or friends. She sweats and avoids eye contact, insisting she hasn't. He clenches his hand, wondering who could have leaked this information. His expression tense as he says he'll trust her for now, but she needs to manage her surroundings thoroughly. She agrees. Someone knocks on the door and a man with glasses enters. A white pop-up box identifies him as Kim Minit-jun, chief of staff for the mayor of Hyeomyang City, a fellow professor of Lee Suho during his time at Dangun University. Kim adjusts his glasses and informs them he has contacted the mayor's mother, suspecting that the leak comes from within the household, suggesting they let go of suspicious individuals. The system displays a picture of Lee, which reads, "The marriage of Lee Suho, mayor of Hyeomyang City, is a show." It's all in the headlines that he is attempting to shed his aristocratic image by pretending to be with a poor commoner woman. The secretary realizes this isn't good. It's all accurately reported. She reads more about their marriage contract, while Kim thinks about who could have leaked such specific information and for what purpose. Noticing our girl breaking a sweat, he reassures her. She wants to speak, but no words come out. She nods and insists she is fine. Kim rolls his eyes, clearly not believing her. She tries to convince him that she's really okay, but Lee remains quiet throughout. Lee calls her name, telling her the place she should be crying is in front of the press, not here. His words stun her. She turns red and opens her mouth like a fish out of water. She looks down and reluctantly agrees to be mindful of that. Gathering her composure, she excuses herself to the restroom for a moment. With unresolved allegations about their show window couple status, a new morning arrives. The candidate stands in front of his office, staring at the sunset. Someone approaches him saying the helicopter carrying the president has entered the airspace over Hyeomyang City. The president's visit coincides with the start of the university semester, and negative reports about Mayor Lee Suho and his wife continue to swirl. With no choice but to follow protocol for the scheduled event. Soon, a limo pulls up. A voice on the scene notes the arrival, and out steps President Kang Chang-young and his wife. Our girl Minute smiles and welcomes them. Inquiring about the inspection, Kang pats Lee on the shoulder, praising him as the best in urban planning. The placement of universities and the location of the research center are exceptional, but she notices the First Lady staring at her intently. After the president enters the hotel, lawmakers from both parties arrive, but the media remains focused on them. The curtain rises on their little play. Minute leans in to ask her husband why he took off his coat earlier when it's so cold today. In this play, she is the devoted wife. He replies it's indeed cold, and Mayor Lee Suho is the husband who cherishes his wife. They link arms, and she expresses gratitude, saying thanks to him, she stays warm, presenting an image of a perfect couple. They are the show window couple. A crowd gathers in a hall, seated on red chairs behind white tables, enjoying meals and chattering away. Kang's wife leans over to Sojung, remarking how the president was thrilled when he heard about Mayor Lee Suho's marriage. Nobody expected the mayor to get hitched, but it seems he finally found someone. Although at such an important time, this nonsense is quite the distraction. Lee stands nearby, looking apologetic as he mentions that his wife hasn't been able to sleep since the report surfaced. Kan lets out a laugh, teasing that they had a love marriage, which means they'll get through this just fine. Minute sweats as she insists everything is okay. Understanding his wife's concern, Kang's wife looks at Sojung and points out that she is 29 while the mayor is 35, still young for all this drama. But it's no wonder these ridiculous rumors about them being a showcase couple are gaining traction, especially since they don't have kids yet, right? Minute grips her fork tightly, the words hitting home. Lee holds her hand gently, apologizing for the worry he's caused her. Kang smiles and playfully calls him madam, claiming it's just advice from an elder. Min's mind races, pondering whether having a child would really solve everything. She remembers the mayoral election where they constantly attacked him, asking what does a bachelor know about real life. Honestly, she can't think of any other solution right now. Without one, the public will keep launching their relentless attacks, but a child born under those circumstances wouldn't receive the father's love. Could she love the child enough for the mayor? 2. Just like her mom who raised her alone. Kang's wife interrupts her thoughts with "Oh, Sojung," and Lee asks if she is okay. Grabbing a tissue in concern, she finds tears welling up in her eyes and manages to say that maybe they should have a child too. That thought settles in her mind as the best option. Lee pauses in disbelief, clearly taken aback by the suggestion. He replies with what? Later that evening in Hyeomyang City Hall, the door slams shut behind them. Kim puts a hand on Min's shoulder, telling her she was reckless for saying that at the dinner. Lee faces away from them, gazing at the sunset, calling out Minute Sojung's name. She replies and turns to him. His brows are furrowed, annoyance etched on his face as he questions her earlier attitude. Kim chimes in, stating that the First Lady is right, the mayor needs a child right now. But Lee tells Minute to get a hold of herself, questioning the absurdity of them getting pregnant. Him and her? Seriously? She looks downcast at his words as Kim shouts at Lee, insisting if he's trying to hurt Sojung to make her leave, he shouldn't. After all, he brought her into this because he needs her. Lee glances down and swears under his breath, massaging his temples as he declares they should drop this conversation. He'll handle the scandal himself, while Minute argues that it's purely a matter of adding a few details to the contract, which only frustrates him more as he tells her to stop, but she insists he shouldn't overthink it. Getting up close to him, he shouts stop it, and Minute defends herself, stating she has no intention of holding the mayor back, never daring to hope for something like money. She offers to write an additional memorandum, sighing deeply as sweat drips down her forehead, pleading with him to just focus on resolving this controversy and stating she can raise a child well on her own. Lee responds bluntly that they should just fake a pregnancy, later claiming it was a stress-related miscarriage. Kim interjects, asking what if that gets exposed, which would be the end of everything. The mayor raises his eyebrows, questioning if they think it's reasonable to actually get pregnant. Minute sighs and closes her eyes, repeating that he should just add the additional clauses to the contract, noting that the divorce condition will remain the same. Methods like artificial insemination or IVF could work fine. She tries to convince him this might seem difficult since she has no bedroom experience. Lee raises an amused eyebrow and asks what. She explains that while preparing for tests or procedures, it could come out she has no experience at all, which would only escalate the controversy. If he gives her a little time, she can prepare for artificial insemination or IVF. Kim chuckles, doubtful, while Lee looks at her in annoyance, slamming his palm against his forehead before walking out, asking what on earth they are even talking about. Kim advises Minute it's best to end the conversation here since neither he nor the mayor can handle this. Minute argues passionately, pleading with the chief to persuade the mayor, stating he knows this is the only way to save him. Kim looks at her but stays silent, patting her back gently. Later that evening at Lee Suho's house, an elderly woman greets him, calling him dear and expressing how hard he worked today. It turns out to be Mrs. Moon, Lee Suho's mother. Minute approaches her, giving her a warm greeting and mentioning how tough it must have been for her alone after sending all the workers away. Mrs. Moon shakes her head, saying that indeed, people need to be chosen carefully. Who would have thought they'd air their household matters, their perfectly fine son and daughter-in-law? Isn't that right? She laughs, blissfully unaware they are a showcase couple. They had plenty of reasons to pretend, even while using separate rooms, until now. He had worked so hard, even pulling off an impressive 3 hours of sleep a day. Lee mentions he'll go rest in his room, suggesting she should do the same. With a smile, the mother-in-law then says that she will clean his room. Lee and Minute exchange wide-eyed glances, looking like deer caught in headlights. Mrs. Moon states that of course, she wouldn't dare clean her daughter-in-law's room. It makes sense to tidy up her son's space. Our main guy blushes, exclaiming mother, but she ignores him, continuing that from tomorrow, people will come to move his things, so it's only logical these two should share a room now. It's too big for one person to live in alone. He sighs dramatically while his mother sweetly reminds him he should have done this since he got married, breaking a sweat as she jokingly mentions nailing the door shut from the inside. He can't help but think, no way. Minute narrates that she now finds herself sharing a room with the mayor, the first time as a couple, feeling a mix of excitement and embarrassment about it. In the room, he takes off his coat, and she panics, telling him he should give it to her, but he glares at her, folding it himself. He informs her he will shower first while she blushes and nervously calls him mayor. In her head, she thinks he must be more self-conscious than usual. She glances at the vanity mirror and notices a white box tied with a red ribbon, wondering what it is. Could it be a gift? She opens it to reveal an indecent outfit. Panic floods through her as she wonders when she prepared this. She apologizes, realizing she doesn't know they are a showcase couple. Questioning if this tiny slip is really pajamas, the door suddenly opens, and he steps out in a long-sleeve blue shirt, water dripping from his hair. Hearing Minute asking someone if they are really telling her to wear this, he wonders who she's talking to. She stands in front of the mirror, trying the pajamas on while talking to her reflection. He walks into the room, simply saying you. She turns and greets him, asking if he already washed up. Her cheeks flush red in an instant as she stumbles over her words. Then he swears loudly, turning to leave in frustration, stating he's going to Minute Jun's place and he won't be back tonight, so she shouldn't wait for him. She protests and tries to stop him, but he walks out anyway. She thinks that surprised look on his face is something she's never seen before, collapsing on the bed, hiding her face in her pillow, questioning how she is supposed to face the mayor tomorrow, feeling both nervous and confused, wondering if she should brush her hair or just hide under the covers. Minute lies on the bed, her face buried in the pillow, contemplating the chaos that just unfolded, thoughts racing through her mind like cars on a highway. How is she supposed to face the mayor tomorrow after dropping that bombshell about wanting a child? This is a man who barely knows her, yet she suggested they take such a monumental step together. Minute Sojung remembers her undergraduate years when the mayor, known then as the notoriously cold Suho, was even less approachable. A flashback reveals the younger man shaking his head in disappointment, asking her if this is really the best she can do. He drops a stack of papers in front of her, stating right from the very start, this was flawed and that she must redo the outline. His reputation among students as cold Suho is well earned, she whispers quietly, pleading for help with attendance so she doesn't end up failing. Yet when she observes how he treats older students, strictness apparent in his demeanor even with seniors, Minute wonders why he's so direct. It seems strange as most professors tend to soften the blow for upperclassmen. At first, she thinks he's just intimidating, but with time, her perspective gradually shifts. She remembers him holding documents and pointing out contradictions in her arguments. His dedication is clear, as though he's required to closely analyze papers unlike others. He guides his students, wanting them to succeed. A laugh escapes Minute as she jokes that she'll just step out for a restroom break. After her excuse, she turns to walk away, but he calls her name. She pauses and responds, curious, arms folded across his chest and serious expression intact. He mentions he left his card in the office and asks if she can retrieve it for him. She smiles and agrees, stepping out. Just moments later, a text pops up from him advising not to think too much about what transpired, noting that the department chair was drunk and she should focus on getting home safely. The message reveals that the card is the one he sometimes gives her for a taxi. Back then, his quiet yet considerate gestures start to grow on her. In a taxi, she tells the driver to drop her off at the studio apartments. He raises an eyebrow, questioning why she wants to go to a place that's hardly far enough for the base fare. Assuring him it's fine, she insists it isn't like she can text him her safe arrival. Who is she to do that? But deep down, she figures he must know she made it home, especially after seeing the taxi fare receipt. With that warm thought, she continues to stick by his side, humming softly as she drifts into sleep. Scene shifts as the mayor appears, sighing and blushing. He wonders aloud why she had to wear such an outfit, questioning what she's even doing. Minute notices the chill in the air and feels him pull the covers over her. As she wakes, she thinks how strange it is, the mayor wouldn't look at her like that, yet here she is holding his hand, inviting him to join her in bed. Things take a decidedly intimate turn, then it's morning, and she wakes alone in bed, turning to the side where he should have been, pondering what strange heated dreams she must have had. She's already at an age where she should have experienced firsts, yet somehow, it seems she's always late to everything romantic. She realizes maybe that's why she sometimes catches herself daydreaming about being passionately loved and held. Quickly getting dressed, she heads to greet her mother-in-law, who asks if she slept well, assuring her she did, then turns the question back to Minute, who sighs in response, admitting she had a restless night thanks to a pretty pointless dream. Thanking goodness it was just a dream. She grabs toast, taking a bite when Mrs. Moon suddenly brings up her son's skills. Minute laughs and shrieks a quick yes. Mrs. Moon presses on, pointing out that if a husband sneaks out in the middle of the night and the wife doesn't stop him, well, it's pretty obvious something's off. Panic rises in Minute as she realizes this is normally the part in dramas when the daughter-in-law gets scolded. Attempting to patch things up, she explains it isn't really like that, it's just that with all the scandals, things have been chaotic recently. That's why Suho went to director Minute Jun's house yesterday. Reflecting on her mother-in-law's special qualities, she hopes maybe she's more favored than Lee, but Mrs. Moon thinks there's something off with that guy. Her daughter-in-law deserves happiness. Meanwhile, Minute struggles with her lack of knowledge in this area. Next, there's a business meeting with men and women in suits discussing an upcoming local district councillor meeting. Someone mentioned significant opposition expected. Minute realizes the spare suit she left in the car isn't quite the usual style. It dawns on her that Lee wouldn't have had time to change out of his clothes. Did he borrow director Minute Jun's shirt? Suddenly, Lee turns his head, and their eyes meet. Minute ponders if Suho's nighttime skills are really lacking. The way he skirts around the question makes it seem that way. She coughs, breaking her thoughts, forcing everyone in the room to turn their attention towards her. Blushing, she apologizes and explains she got a bit distracted. A brown-haired woman in a navy pantsuit opens her mouth, suggesting maybe Minute has some secret she isn't sharing, and that woman is Yoon Sung-jae, Chief Secretary of Hyeomyang City. Another colleague, Kim Jung Hyun, cautions her about making assumptions given their same positions. Minute awkwardly laughs, claiming she remembered a dream from last night that must have been lottery numbers. The room bursts into laughter, though deep down, she wishes she could have that dream again. Lee looks stunned by her response, and she realizes he turns away from her again, wondering why he's avoiding her. A chief pushes up her glasses, silent towards Lee as they get back to business. At some point during the meeting preparations, Yoon approaches Minute again, offering her some coffee, to which she gratefully accepts, then teasingly asks where Yoon buys her underwear. Yoon raises an eyebrow, caught off guard, inquiring if Minute is looking for some new items. Minute shares a laugh, explaining that Hyeomyang City lacks a good shopping mall and she ventured to the market once. Though Cheongju City is the biggest nearby and filled with things to do, yet it feels like she wouldn't even have time to enjoy herself. Yoon insists she's turning 30 soon, still young enough to seek fresh air and excitement, promising to drop Minute off later. Both women share laughter over their coffee, feeling the thrill of city life. But little do they know that the chaos awaiting them in Cheongju is more than just shopping. Suddenly, from outside, a guy with a white stripe on his head bellows through a megaphone, shouting about the education city of Hyeomyang demanding an end to policies harming small business owners, and before they know it, he hurls insults at Minute, catching her and Yoon by surprise as they exchange bewildered glances amidst the uproar. Unsure of what's next, they brace themselves for whatever craziness the day will bring. Minute Sojung walks down a busy road, a smile spreading across her face as she thinks that showing up in matching pajamas should make her mother feel a little relieved. After all, with the lack of affection they've been exhibiting lately, this small gesture might be the very least she can do. Suddenly, a man shouts into a megaphone, demanding that the government must stop the relocation of universities immediately, and as he continues his speech, people in the crowd begin to respond, shouting phrases like "Stop it! Stop it!" with fervor. Then a red box appears, prominently displaying the message University Studio Apartment Association, and the man with the megaphone calls for the abolition of an education capital that deceives the public, spurring the crowd into action as they chant, "Abolish it! Abolish it!" These protesters are clearly against the government's university relocation policy that has led to an increase in vacancies in the studio apartments near the universities. Rents have dropped by a staggering 15%, and while it might still be considered an average price, from their perspective, this is nothing short of a significant loss. Meanwhile, strangers nearby begin muttering amongst themselves. One man turns to a woman beside him, skeptically asking if they can even hold a rally here, and the woman responds affirmatively. Their conversation flutters into Min's ears as she navigates through the sea of strangers, desperately realizing she needs to get out of this chaotic scene quickly. She doesn't want to be caught up in whatever madness is brewing. Suddenly, a man adorned with a bright yellow hard hat blocks her path, his voice booming as he points a finger in her direction, accusing her of pretending to be a trophy wife. The crowd gasps collectively in shock, and some people start shouting in confusion, "What? Is that for real?" Another voice joins in, claiming, "There she is. Don't let her get away." Panic bubbles within minute as she starts to run, but just then, someone grabs her arm, insisting they bring her to the platform. Her heart races as she realizes she not only mocked the public by pretending to be part of the couple, but now she's being accused of monitoring their protests. Voices rise in anger, with cries urging her to explain herself. The atmosphere grows tense as the crowd pushes for answers, while others demand that she come clean. Minute thinks frantically about how worked up everyone has become, warning herself that an accident could occur at any moment, so she turns to the crowd and attempts to shout back that they can point fingers at her all they want, but pushing forward is incredibly dangerous. One voice rises above the rest, questioning if she really wants to become the mayor's wife so badly. Vile insults are hurled at her with accusations of her humble beginnings and desperate attempts to climb the social ladder. Min's grip on her bag tightens as she feels the anger and hostility of the crowd. Suddenly police officers arrive on the scene, and the lead officer steps forward, announcing that participants in this unauthorized illegal protest need to cease their actions and disperse. Naturally, a protester challenges their authority, asking why they should disperse when all they're doing is protesting. The tension escalates as the officers instruct the crowd to move along. Min's mind races with panic over what she should do next. If this keeps up, something terrible might happen. Just then, someone throws an egg, hitting her, and the crowd erupts, cheering at the hit and calling for more, delighting in the unfolding chaos as they shout, "Good, bad person." Minute falls to the ground in shock as the barrage of eggs continues. The police officers break a sweat as they attempt to calm the crowd down. One officer shouts that they should stop the violent actions immediately. Minute whispers to herself that she must keep it together. She can't cry here, not now. Suddenly she notices someone placing a coat over her head. Looking up, she sees him, the mayor, rushing in to shield her from the chaos while shouting at the protesters, demanding to know what they are doing, questioning whether they even understand the state of his wife's health. How could they commit such acts of violence? Minute feels disoriented, her thoughts spiraling as she contemplates her health and the situation at large. Someone from the crowd screams at the mayor, pointing out that he's merely a show window husband and that he's got no right to act like one. Then another protester hurls an egg, splattering it on his coat. He grits his teeth at their audacity and tells them they are nothing more than cowards threatening a powerless woman while committing collective violence. He vows that he will not let this situation slide. The atmosphere shifts as the crowd quiets down, the mayor's authoritative voice cutting through the tension. He places a reassuring hand on Min's shoulder, asking her gently if she's hurt anywhere. She looks down, clenching her fists as she fights back tears. Lee urges her to stay focused, asking her not to look anywhere else while calling her full name, holding her protectively as he assures her everything will be okay. He firmly leads her away from the chaos while a police officer walks alongside them, safely escorting them into the house. As they step inside, Mrs. Moon rushes in, her eyes wide with concern as she asks what's going on, her worry deepening when she finally sees Minute. Noting the mess done onto her daughter-in-law, she gasps that if an egg hit her, it must hurt a lot. Questioning whether she's bruised and how she is feeling, Minute assures her that she's fine, feeling as though her words aren't convincing anyone. But just then, her bag tears open, and pajamas spill out onto the floor. Mrs. Moon's voice breaks as she exclaims in a tearful tone, "Isn't this a pajama set? Did you go out to buy this?" She can't help but lament that Minute could have just worn what she already had instead. Gesturing wildly with distress, she insists that leaving her daughter-in-law like this is unacceptable. Minute tries to reassure her once more, saying she's really okay, but Mrs. Moon, insistent as ever, argues that she needs to be checked, citing the fact that Minute just got hit and pleading for her to let her check for any bruises. She even goes so far as to declare that Minute is like her own daughter, leading her toward the room. Minute thinks about how she really doesn't want to go, but Mrs. Moon is determined, urging her to hold still while she examines for bruises, instructing her to lie down and take off her clothes, claiming she needs to massage any bruises and apply ointment. Minute protests yet again that Mrs. Moon should really wait for a second, explaining that she didn't actually get hit that hard, but Mrs. Moon ignores her objections, repeating that she should obey, and finally, left with no choice, Minute reluctantly lays down under the covers, unaware of how Mrs. Moon mischievously manages to get Lee into the room before quietly disappearing, leaving Minute to face whatever unexpected awkwardness awaits her. Thoughts racing in her mind as she tries to prepare herself for what's next. Lee feels a wave of guilt wash over him about the recent incident. He offers Minute an out of their marriage. Minute hesitates, believing that if they get a divorce now, it would be as if they were admitting to being nothing more than a show window couple, a thought that sends a shiver down her spine, knowing that if that were to happen, everything he has built up until now would come crashing down. Lee admits that he knows, sparking a flurry of questions in Min's mind. She wonders why he would even suggest such a thing, questioning if they really should consider divorce. Overwhelmed with emotion, she bursts into tears while expressing her regret, pleading with him not to talk about divorce, asking what she is supposed to do in a situation like this. Her heart races as the possibility of never seeing this person again looms over her, wanting to stay by his side, even if it means living as a show window couple. Is that truly her being selfish? Lee comforts her, assuring her that they're not getting a divorce, that she should stop crying. He admits that he feels as if he's going a little crazy. Minute wipes her tears and gives a small nod of understanding. Just then, someone walks in and calls her name, announcing they brought the ointment, and to her surprise, it's Mrs. Moon who appears, praising Lee for being such a gentleman, a true gentleman. She enthusiastically points out how Lee wrapped his wife tightly in the blanket. She mentions that she prepared warm water, stating that the bath water is ready, suggesting they soak in it together as usual. Minute feels a rush of mortification, realizing that Mrs. Moon planned this so the new servant wouldn't think it was strange. Mrs. Moon even tells the other older woman present that they usually bathe together since it's a good time to bond. Minute, feeling the pressure, decides to say she will shower first and come out, but Lee is quick to prevent her from moving. Touching the water to check the temperature, he comments that it's not very hot, reassuring her that she should relax in the warm water. Feeling a mix of shyness and embarrassment, she slowly steps into the bath, wondering if she's the only one overthinking things, questioning if she had been possessed by some mischievous demon ever since that strange dream. She tells Lee to leave his shirt there so she can wash it for him, but then scolds herself silently for her own teasing thoughts. Wondering why it feels like he's moving closer, she squeezes her eyes shut in anticipation. Later, moments pass, and we see Lee helping her apply the ointment. The atmosphere almost turns romantic as he leans in, creating a moment that feels charged. Just as he is about to kiss her, a sudden knock on the door interrupts them. Minute calls out, "Yes, come in," and to her chagrin, it's Mrs. Moon who walks in, her eyes widening as she takes in the cozy scene. She questions if she should come back later. Lee quickly turns away, pretending to focus on the documents on the desk, while Mrs. Moon browses through the room. She casually mentions that, by the way, Sojung, has she noticed anything different about herself? Minute cluelessly replies yes, she's wearing the lovely gift she bought for her, and it suits her so well, with a proud smile. Mrs. Moon beams and suggests they should take a commemorative photo together since she's into Instagram these days, adding that she was going to follow her, Sojung. But sadly, those people have been complaining about stressful mother-in-law dynamics and sending friend requests on social media. Mrs. Moon's face falls at the thought, revealing that she didn't get to do it. Minute diplomatically states that she only has one account. Mrs. Moon gestures and insists that anyway, she should come closer. Standing next to someone young doesn't work for her anymore, playfully saying that she's going to pull her face back a bit. Minute nods in agreement before they snap some photos together, while Lee, observing from a distance, can't help but feel a warm blush creeping onto his cheeks as he watches the mother-daughter moment unfold. The very next morning at Hyeomyong City Hall finds Lee holding a critical document. He turns to Chief Kim, asking if he checked that there are no omissions in the 5-year development plan. Chief Kim replies that yes, they've covered everything, although he foresees complaints about slow development from the outskirts. They've decided to focus on road maintenance for the moment. Lee sighs in frustration, questioning how long they have to keep using the budget to appease the council members, then suddenly shifting the topic, he mentioned Sojung's incident from yesterday, instructing them to proceed with the lawsuit after they collect the evidence. Chief Kim looks taken aback, questioning what Lee means. But Lee calmly states that Sojung wouldn't want to pursue any action. They will, however, obtain a medical certificate. Chief Kim cautions that filing a lawsuit against a citizen won't bode well for public opinion, even if they aren't a resident of Hyeomyeong City. Lee feels anger bubbling at the surface, asking if they can retaliate in the same way, wondering aloud if they can catch the culprits and throw eggs at them. Chief Kim raises an eyebrow, clearly alarmed. Adjusting his glasses, he concedes that he'll prepare for the lawsuit, then he hesitates, saying it's Sojung, implying she must have finished her examination at the hospital, stating he'll tell her to rest and return in the afternoon. But then his words get caught in his throat as he realizes the slip-up. Sighing, he corrects himself, saying her name is not Sojung, but Madam. Chief Kim looks a bit confused, and Lee reminds him that since they have watchers, they should change her name on his phone to something else, stating he can make mistakes in front of him but must be careful in front of others. Chief Kim nods in understanding, promising to be more cautious. Meanwhile, in a downtown cafe, Minute sits feeling thoroughly embarrassed when the waiter approaches, presenting her order, informing her that her order is ready. She looks confused and insists she didn't order this cake. The waiter cheekily responds that it's on the house, and with a smirk, states this much isn't against the law, right? Minute gulps, breaking a sweat as she wonders what the waiter means, completely taken aback. While the waitress calls for the next customer, Minute notices a note on her table and curiously asks herself what it could be. As she reads it, the message expresses gratitude for the dormitory support from Hyeomyeong City, stating that now she has much more financial and time flexibility. Her peers rave about how safe Hyeomyeong City is, with fantastic research facilities and ample government support, making life here so much more convenient. And as Minute reads the letter, a smile spreads across her face. Feeling elated, she thinks that her efforts weren't in vain, but her posted picture with her mother-in-law seems to spark mixed reactions from the public, some loving it while others are less than thrilled, but in her heart, she knows she wouldn't trade this moment for anything. Mrs. Moon excitedly gushes, her eyes sparkling with delight, asking if maybe her daughter-in-law has become an SNS star, questioning if she's now an influencer, because wouldn't that be something? And the smile that doesn't leave the mother's face radiates warmth and joy as she walks into the room wearing an apron and carrying a heavy iron skillet, announcing that her daughter-in-law needs to nourish her body by eating a lot. Well, maybe if she had just mentioned being pregnant, this wouldn't be such a big deal. Our girl's eyes widen in disbelief at the mention of pregnancy. The sound of her heart racing becomes audible, and then her husband chokes on his drink, gasping out a string of words about his wife's state of health, confused as to whether they even know what's going on with her body, and yet somehow, they jump straight to assumptions of impending motherhood. The mother-in-law raises her phone, revealing a picture of our girl and guy together, and then mentions that there are so many articles about them too, causing our girl to wonder why the sudden focus on her condition has come up. She hears her husband quickly mention that she said she felt unwell during the meeting, and suddenly the memory dawns on her, realizing it was due to a particularly racy dream she had the night before. Her cheeks flush deeply, a bright cherry red, while Mrs. Moon innocently asks if there's anything else she wants to eat. Oh my, the smell of food must be overwhelming. Maybe she should be careful with her appetite from now on. Her guy walks past her seated position, casually telling her that he'll get up first, making her feel a mixture of annoyance and embarrassment. And our girl remains seated, her heart racing as she continues sweating bullets while insisting it's not like that. Another elderly woman chimes in, overwhelmed by the news, saying that it was all over the news. Initially thinking there's no way two people could be so close, Mrs. Moon confidently retorts that of course they fell in love in school and got married. Isn't that the ideal way to live? At the entrance of Hyeomyeong City Hall, our girl struts confidently in a pair of gleaming black heels, greeted by a male staff member who warmly informs her that she has arrived early. She reciprocates his smile, greeting reporter Jung Tae-ji with a forced enthusiasm, and suddenly she thinks that meeting him first thing in the morning is some kind of impossible luck. Tae-ji, from the political department of Dongshin Ilbo, doesn't exactly conceal his disdain for her husband. Crossing his arms, he casually mentions that the mayor has sued the citizen who threw eggs at her. Her eyes widen in disbelief. She's almost speechless as she processes this news. Tai chuckles, gleefully, asserting that since they are a show window couple, she must be quite out of the loop. She can feel her cheeks burning red as she feels the sweat trickle down her back. And she retorts that he should stop making baseless accusations. His uninterested body language only adds to her growing irritation, as he picks at his ear, a move that infuriates her even more. Feeling a surge of energy, she can hardly contain herself as she points out that he even referenced an interview with a department head who had a beef with her back during her graduate school days, describing her as a woman who would stop at nothing to climb the social ladder, shaking her head in disbelief at his audacity while urging him instead to write dignified articles as a proper journalist. Her passionate outburst is suddenly interrupted when she spots her husband rushing toward them, his brow glistening with sweat as if he just ran a marathon. He stands protectively in front of her, panting as he tells her that they should come along. After taking her hand, he swiftly starts leading her away while she feels a surge of gratitude that he's standing up for her. However, this seems to irk the reporter, who scoffs, claiming that for now, he may deceive people with their genuine display of affection, but the truth about their society-driven show window couple status will come to light when it matters most, pointing his finger accusingly and declaring that if suspicions continue to swirl, they will eventually solidify into fact. Once they are safely in the privacy of an office, he gently releases her hand, advising her not to engage with such people at all, gesturing to the window. He explains that they keep following her because she keeps responding, making it sound far more dramatic than it actually is. He professes his intent to avoid long exchanges but realizes that she has a fiery side. Feeling a bit intimidated but amused by her passion, she places a hand on her chest, trying to catch her breath. Feeling a bit stunned mentally and wondering when she became so worked up, she brings up how he mentioned before that she doesn't need to excel in everything and should simply complete her tasks instead. Insisting that she's fully capable of handling it herself, she adds that she appreciates his concern but decides she can take care of her own affairs, once again affirming her independence as she turns on her heel, determined to step out the door, doubting her earlier rush of anger and if she should have just remained silent. Next, the scene shifts to a house radiating bright sunlight. It's the weekend morning at Suho's residence, a beautiful picture of family harmony. Our girl thinks about how she should probably be preparing for work even when it's the weekend, since the demands never seem to slow down. She strides confidently into a crowded living room, calling out for her grandfather, and suddenly an elderly man with white hair bursts into hearty laughter, exclaiming that their granddaughter-in-law is finally awake. They introduce Lee Han, Suho's grandfather, who seems to embody wisdom and warmth. She feels a touch of guilt for not waking up earlier when she learns he has arrived. He chuckles, revealing he chose not to wake her because of the news about her potential pregnancy, a common reason for feeling extra sleepy and lethargic. Both she and Lee shout in unison, clearly shocked at the news, an outburst that echoes through the room, making everyone pause for a moment. Mrs. Moon adds that she always thought Suho was the fragile one. Yet here he is handling everything, making the atmosphere feel a bit too light-hearted for what's at stake. Her grandfather takes her hands warmly and with a sincerity that resonates deeply, shares that after Suho's father passed away, a heavy burden settled on his heart. He expresses concern that he fears his grandson is solely gunning for the presidential seat because of it, and there's a palpable tension in the air as he reveals that losing his son and living apart has truly been painful. He then adds that hearing his new daughter-in-law might bring forth many children brings a spark of joy to his heart, thanking her for the gift of being in his life. Feeling grateful for this chance at familial connection, he chokes back tears, revealing the emotional weight of the moment as they all gather around him. He shares that he feels like he has lived long enough to see this day. The women surrounding them rally and cry out "Elder," as they present him with 2 pills. Someone asks what kind of medication that is, only to discover that it's an emergency vasodilator, prescribed for sudden shortness of breath or heart pain. The elder can't undergo any more heart procedures due to his age, and our girl absorbs the scene with a heavy heart. Realizing that a man who once dominated as prime minister has significantly aged, he shares a heartfelt wish for the first great-grandchild to be a granddaughter since he never had a daughter or held one. Admiring his granddaughter-in-law for such a great deed, she feels an overwhelming mix of emotions, her mind racing as the weight of expectation settles on her. Yet when the envelope he hands her catches her attention, curiosity gets the best of her, revealing 1 million won in cash along with a heartfelt handwritten letter detailing fortunes for their future child. Her heart races as she reads his words concerning life, emphasizing his hope for living long enough to support Suho while also telling her the names he wishes for their child. If it's a daughter, he hopes they name her Eun-woo, and if it's a son, Yoongu, all imbued with a sense of hope and legacy, expressing sincere gratitude for the letter he wrote, stating that it felt like a chore, but actually, it wasn't. Wishing for her to take care of herself during this process, deeply emotional. The next scene shows our main guy entering a room to find our girl on her knees, tears streaming down her face as she questions what they should do next, feeling suffocated by the expectations piling up on her. Her heart feels heavy as she expresses her fear of not being able to meet everyone's wishes, and in this vulnerable moment, he softly touches her shoulder while she shakes, whispering that they should have a child. Her teary eyes brighten with hope at his words, feeling a rush of relief and joy simultaneously as she curiously asks if he's really serious, and with gentle reassurance, he wraps her in a warm hug, solidifying their shared commitment to start a family and affirming that yes, they indeed should have their child, filling the room with a whole new level of anticipation and emotional connection, bringing them closer as they embark on this beautiful journey of hope together. Our girl continues to share her story, and after the mayor and she reach a significant decision to have a child, they recognize the necessity of rewriting their marriage contract, making their way through the complexities of their unusual relationship. She finds herself standing in front of her manager, wondering why he is lingering outside instead of heading inside the building. Kim glances at her slightly hesitant and suggests they talk for a moment. He takes off his glasses, a gesture that always seems to signal serious conversations, revealing a concerned expression as he asks if she is truly okay with this pregnancy. His tone is full of genuine worry as he articulates that he thinks she might be sacrificing too much for this choice, urging her to consider her life once this chapter closes, advising her to think about how she plans to raise a child on her own. And she feels a flicker of irritation and determination as she contemplates whether he genuinely believes she decided to embark on this path without the resolve to see it through. She knows that in the world's eyes, single mothers who choose to raise a child alone are often seen as having ruined their lives, but she understands that in actuality, they are warriors tackling each day with fierce determination and strength. As she meets his gaze, she leans into her conviction, expressing her desire that the city they cherish should embody a dream of a happy place where even the weakest among them find support rather than neglect. She asserts that she wants to be, she will be an independent mother living in such a city, one where opportunities are abundant and mothers can flourish together. Kim holds her name in cautious tones, witnessing her passionate declaration, and she notices him break a light sweat under the weight of the conversation. Despite his underlying concern, her confidence comes through with a bright smile as she lets out a small laugh, playfully indicating it's time to head inside because, after all, the mayor is waiting for them. She begins to move forward, but he halts her with a firm but gentle grasp on her arm, seeking to draw her back for another moment of dialogue. She tilts her head in a questioning manner, then frees her hand from his grip, asserting once again that she will go in first, determined to take the lead. As she steps inside the building, she encounters a man dressed in a sharp suit, holding a paper bearing important details. He asks with a tone that feels a tad sardonic if she feels no regrets about this plan, reminding her that even with the future child they're planning, this contract will eventually end in divorce. She looks directly at him without wavering and confidently states that she is acutely aware of that little fact, commending his ability to rise to the position of mayor at the young age of 35 due to his meticulous calculations and strategizing. She reflects on how he's someone who prepares for his goals down to the minutest detail, and that realization brings forth a cascade of thoughts regarding how their relationship seems predestined to end precisely as he has planned it. It has always felt like a relationship constructed on a foundation set for divorce from the very start. Without missing a beat, he counters by suggesting they simply need to add one additional clause under Article 1 of their contract, a line that states pregnancy is not an issue, as if throwing the smallest of curveballs into the mix. Flipping through their documents, she reviews the clauses carefully, and her heart races as she reads through Article 3 and 4. Article 3 clearly indicates that they must fulfill the duties of a spouse, excluding sexual relations, while also avoiding any acts that could lead to social issues like infidelity, adultery, or gambling, which are serious grounds for divorce. While Article 4 lays out that divorce shall be decided by mutual agreement between them, and that after the marriage is dissolved, the division of property and rights will follow legal limits. All of these terms swirling around her mind leave her feeling uneasy, as Kim urges both of them to check the clauses again meticulously. Our girl ponders deeply whether they should strike out that line about duties of a spouse, excluding sexual relations in Article 3, because if she's going to get pregnant, logical reasoning insists they should eventually become physically intimate, and it dawns on her that he hasn't said anything about that critical point. The lawyer standing nearby hands her a pen, urging her to sign on the dotted line. She takes the pen and feels the weight of the moment press down on her, grasping its significance. She signs with a mix of anticipation and apprehension. After they finalize the revisions to the marriage contract, she feels a lingering sense of distraction wash over her, struggling to focus on her work afterward, as her mind drifts continually to what lies ahead of them. During a crucial board meeting, her thoughts are completely elsewhere, even as discussions progress regarding the supplementary budget review. Her anxiety spikes when she wonders if he is planning to get her pregnant through methods other than natural conception. Sure, the mayor may wish to avoid the complications of physical intimacy, yet Kim has previously pointed out that such methods could prove challenging, and she feels her hands shaking beneath the table, seeking to regain her composure and focus. Her guy casually remarks about the ongoing renovations on Nambu Jichin Road, yet again, and Kim counters playfully, arguing back that they had just newly paved it last year, and the room buzzes with mixed reactions. Another participant adjusts his glasses as he reads the document aloud, looking up to reveal that it's Assemblyman Kang Pilju's district under discussion, and he expresses that he has heard Assemblyman Kang is particularly unhappy because the budget allocation for his district fell short of expectations this time around. Suddenly, a voice slams the table in frustration, insisting that the Assemblyman is merely pretending to do his job while he holds up the road renovation review, and they start discussing the need to dispatch experts from the road construction division. Recalling how they established an advisory group last year to prevent issues just like this, our girl thinks to herself about how Assemblyman Kang Pilju holds considerable influence among lawmakers in their districts and enjoys remarkably high approval ratings, and if this situation continues, they risk holding back essential projects in the educational autonomous district. She voices her opinion passionately to her colleagues, asserting that they can't just blindly oppose anything and everything. Realizing that before standing against the supplementary budget review, they must come up with other tangible welfare programs utilizing the special budget. As her guy turns to her, he asks if she has any ideas in mind, and she brightly suggests that during the off-season, seniors in rural areas generally spend time resting at community centers. So why not increase financial support for heating costs at each community center and enhance activity funds specifically for those over 65? Hearing her practical proposal, Kim agrees with a nod, acknowledging it sounds not only feasible but also beneficial. Speculating that they could save significantly on budget costs while providing deserving praise to the district representatives and lifting their morale, she concludes that they should indeed implement this plan, urging him to discover the annual schedules for each district. Her playful demeanor returns as they discuss how either the mayor or she should attend the events of district representatives to capture some credit for their hard work, right? And her guy chuckles, warmed by the unexpected humor in their conversation. A few moments later, she finds herself sitting in the ladies' room, deep in thought, as she thinks about how she should prepare for necessary medical checkups for potential pregnancy, just in case. Weighing the challenges that could arise if she hasn't had any experience with sexual intercourse, a reality that begins to feel more pressing by the day. Then, just a few days later, in front of Hyeomyong City Hall, she finds herself facing a commotion. As her main guy stops her by a moving truck, he calls her full name in a slightly urgent tone, gripping her shoulders firmly to ensure he has her full attention. He insists that she doesn't need to go to Kang Pilju's district, reminding her it's better to send support items instead. Explaining that although public opinion about their show window marriage has died down thanks to the mother's social media posts, those supporting the opposition party still aren't thrilled, and Kang Pilju carries a loud voice even among the party members. Our girl counters, that's why she has to go. If the mayor is too busy, it falls on the wife's shoulders to step in, ensuring that everything runs smoothly. She adds that nothing will happen and the manager will go too, as she pushes him slightly away, telling him to hurry and get to his meeting. As he walks away, she reflects on how he has been considerate ever since the egg incident, noting that it's nice he's treating her kindly despite the circumstances. The scene shifts to the community center, where our girl sports a ponytail and a blue apron, smiling radiantly as she asks a group of elderly people if the food suits their taste. She further explains to them how Assemblyman Kang Pilju worked hard for the expansion of the community center, assuring them he was so concerned about the chilly winds creeping in where the seniors rested. Thinking to herself, seeing the newly respectable community center calms her heart. One of the elderly people takes her hand gently amidst the group, saying, "Oh my, how can she speak so prettily," wishing her daughter-in-law could have the same level of thoughtfulness. And our girl feels slightly awkward, recognizing the roughness of her own hands. The scene shifts to a nearby church, with music filtering from the building, and she spots a child dressed in a cheerful yellow and blue outfit. Curiously pointing at the child and asking whose little one it is, the elderly woman beside her breaks a sweat as she explains the mother is a single mom who works late at the factory, reiterating that she told the woman not to leave the child home alone but instead to drop them off at the community center. Our girl realizes that the child is eating so well, feeling a proud sense of admiration, thanking her lucky stars that the event ends without any trouble. Yet gossip swirls around her, referring to the mayor's wife smiling at district representatives' events and the mayor himself supposed to run over to check on his fake wife. Then her gaze finds the mayor arriving, and she wonders if he came rushing here right after his meeting. Her curiosity piques as the elderly man remarks that the two of them are quite the actors, noting that's why he's so good at pretending to be a married couple. Which brings a smirk to her face, as she acknowledges that sometimes they do need to put on an act when necessary. He rakes his hand through his hair as he responds that Assemblyman Kang is also putting in plenty of effort, trying to appear competent as a lawmaker, which has inadvertently led to the construction of a new community center. The man turns red, caught off guard, asking what she meant by that. And her guy interjects that he believes those efforts are also important because, in politics, every little contribution counts, adding that there might be a supplementary budget allocated later that would mean increased support for seniors over 65 in the neighborhoods, which sounds great, as heating and cooling cost support for community centers will also begin, leaving the man blushing as he wonders aloud why he's being told all of this now. Lee happily suggests he should promote himself as a hard-working assemblyman, gaining visibility for his efforts, before they finally begin to part ways. The next scene shows our couple moving together in a car, and their girl asks why the atmosphere was just fine without him, and why he came to pick a fight with Assemblyman Kang, genuinely confused about his role in the drama unfolding. He insists that he didn't start it, but now he needs to stop by City Hall before heading home, noting that he has some work left to sort out. While our girl thinks to herself why he decided to come all the way here instead of staying to work at City Hall like the mayor should, Kim, occupying the front seat, wonders if he really has any idea what's happening. Later that night, at Suho's house, someone shouts, "Minute Sojung," announcing that she has a delivery. And our guy's confusion seeps through as he asks, "A delivery?" curious about the unusual package. She thinks to herself that she doesn't usually order anything online, so what is this surprise package? Then he opens the box, peering inside, wondering what could possibly await them. It feels like opening a treasure chest full of mystery and excitement, leaving them both in anticipation of what's to come, because who doesn't love a good surprise, right? A blue car with sleek, fancy headlights catches the eye. The camera shifts to our girl who casually mentions that she dropped off the mayor right in front of City Hall. She watches as he strides into the building without so much as glancing back, ticking off the list in her mind that he is busy, yet he still attended the event, so why is he working so hard to impress everyone? A mystery left unanswered. Now sitting in the back seat of a car, she gazes out the window lost in thought. Something feels off, like someone is watching her. She turns and finds Kim staring at her, his eyes wide with confusion. After a bit of silence, she breaks the tension by playfully calling him manager. Her mind flashes back to the elders enjoying their beers together, and she's suddenly craving one herself. A longing smile spreads across her face as he returns her smile and suggests they should grab a beer since work is officially over. She beams and closes her eyes, agreeing to just one. The anticipation of that cold drink makes her giddy. The next scene finds her happily sipping from a bottle. She swears it feels like she just finished it in record time. Talk about feeling the buzz, realizing she may have left the gathering a bit too quickly. Arriving home, she finds her main guy at the foot of the front door looking cross, arms crossed and glaring at her like a storm cloud, demanding to know where she has been this late at night. She looks confused at first before the realization hits her. Oh right, Mr. Mayor, no wait, her husband, his home first. Noting something about his tone seems different tonight, leaving her feeling slightly uneasy. Trying to explain herself, she stumbles over her words, saying she had a beer with manager Minjun. He responds that people are watching them to see if she is pregnant or not. Does she really need to go out for a drink now? Suddenly she gets that he might be worried about attracting attention. She shrugs it off playfully, saying she's not pregnant yet, but she plans to be soon. After that all suspicion will disappear, right? He fires back, asking what the worry is. She brushes that off, but his next move sends a wave of confusion through her as he slams her open package onto the table. Breaking into a sweat, she starts asking herself what that package is even doing in their home. Feeling the heat rise in her cheeks as she asks him snidely whether he has the nasty habit of snooping through other people's deliveries. She quickly realizes how embarrassed she feels, but decides anger is the better route to take. He holds his ground, asking why she would ever need something like that, holding up her package like it's a strange artifact. A light tussle ensues as she fights back, demanding he gives it back. He deftly pulls it out of her reach, insisting on knowing why she bought it in the first place. Here goes nothing, she stammers under his piercing grey eyes, admitting it's her first time and she wants to be prepared. He groans as he tells her she doesn't need to be perfect. Didn't he tell her that already? She argues back with a fire in her eyes, saying she just wants to do it right. Frustration bubbles over as he angrily throws away her package, and she glares at him, wondering what in the world he thinks he's doing because that is hers. He stands firm, asserting that she doesn't need this. She counters that if they can't do it naturally, she has to try other ways, a hint of mischief dancing in her eyes. He replies quickly that they're not doing it any other way, and she raises an eyebrow, saying what? She isn't ready to give up just yet. He seems to reconsider for a moment and turns toward her with a confident grin, telling her they can just do it the old-fashioned way. She gasps, what is he saying? This is insane. Their eyes lock and a moment of tension hangs between them, seeing the blush creeping onto their cheeks as they separate a bit awkwardly. He takes a brave step forward, ready to show her how to be romantic. She stirs nervously, trying to follow his lead, but she looks anything but ready for it, so he resorts to teasing her by saying he wants to test her, leaving her wondering just what kind of test this is going to be. A playful grin appears on her face as she knows this night is getting more interesting by the second. If you're eager for the next chapter, drop a comment expressing your interest in a part 2. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated. Until next time, ciao.